For the second time in the lives of most of us, we are at war.
Call of Duty 2 was a great game back in the day, so I wanted to go back to it and see what it's like playing it now. The single player campaign starts off with some great historical footage that sets the scene for fighting during World War II.
First of all is Poland, then Denmark, Norway, France, Belgium.
And then when you jump into the actual game, you'll see straight away that the graphics still hold up today.
We've got a prisoner! Come take a look!
Unsere Truppen. Commissar, he says the enemy is moving. Behind our line.
You get a letter before the start of each mission, kind of explaining the situation you're about to go into. And looking back at it now, it would be nice if there was a cutscene instead of that, but the letter does the job. One of the first things I noticed playing this single player campaign was that the objectives were all interesting and varied. They also did a good job adding in scripted scenes, which gave you more of a feel for the war as a whole. So for example, you'd have tanks going overhead, or you'd see whole battalions charging the enemy over in the distance.
Tanks up above! Get down!
All these things gave you a sense of scale and let you know that you're part of something bigger, which was appreciated, and they did that well throughout the game.
Koski, do it! Flankers out! Let's go! Let's go! Empty!
There were elements in the game which seemed small at first, but they really provided a sense of immersion. For example, when you're playing through the Russian campaign, the Germans have a sort of megaphone which spurts out propaganda that's bad-mouthing Stalin, saying why you should surrender and how you're going to get treated fairly. And they've got a really long script of this, and it definitely provides you with a sense of immersion and gets you more into the gameplay.
It is your own false leader Stalin who wishes to fight this war for his own benefit. Does such a man deserve your loyalty? Is he really worth dying for?
It really worked, along with the teammate chatter telling you when grenades were incoming or if the enemy are flanking round a particular side. All these little things came together to provide a more immersive and enjoyable game. What I did find a little bit weak and noticed pretty much straight away was the gun sounds. They just sounded a little bit weak to me, a little bit tinny, they lacked a meatiness, and I was expecting a bit more oomph from them. I thought the AI for a game of this age was pretty impressive. They would push forward and flank round the sides, and if you tried to camp in a particular spot, they'd make sure they lobbed grenades over, forcing you to move.
Concentrate and move up the right flank! Get over there and stop them!
So the single player campaign split into 3 different sections. You've got the Russian campaign, followed by the British campaign, and then the American campaign. And this system worked really well for me. I feel like the length of each campaign's just right. Just as I was getting slightly bored of one of the sections, you'd move on to the next one. Each of the campaigns has a different environment for you to play through. So the Russians, you're largely fighting in the snow. The British campaign is mostly in Africa, so there's a lot of desert environment. And the American campaign's based kind of in Europe, in France and Germany. So you've got a lot of grassland environment. So this variation kept things fresh and new and really helped with keeping you invested in the campaign.
Hey, Fred!
Unfortunately, although as I stated previously, the objectives seemed interesting and varied to start off with, they do end up repeating themselves quite a lot. And that also goes for the tactics you use progressing through missions. For example, you'll often have to get around a MG, and the process is to smoke it and then to go around, and you just keep on doing that over and over again.
It's an MG-42! By that pile of rubble! On the fast!
So the tactics can get quite repetitive, and also some of the objectives such as take over point A and then defend point A, or sticky bombs on these tanks, they do repeat themselves quite a lot.
Vasily, let's go! We can use the sticky bombs to take out the Germans! Best army infantry! By the telephone pole!
So you do unfortunately end up doing similar objectives throughout the campaign over and over again, and it does get a bit too much. Even though it's in different environments quite often, it's still the same drill and the same routine. This repetition does rear its ugly head again in other areas of the game. When they put you into more unique situations like taking hold of an AA gun or a tank turret, those sections just are prolonged a bit too much where they lose their impact. So when you've got the AA gun, instead of having a few airplanes that are hard to take down, they'll have about 20 that are really easy to take down, and just lose this impact. You end up getting a bit bored during those segments. There are some smaller, really nitpicky things that annoyed me, and these were things like the really long time to kill at range. So you'd have situations where you've got a sniper, you shoot an MG gunner in the face, they somehow just take the hit and get straight back on the gun. I know that's a small point, but it's something that I thought I should bring up because each time it happened it did take me away from the game a little bit. Although I did think that maybe the long time to kill at range was to encourage you to push forward and be a bit more adventurous with your tactics, rather than submit to the urge to sit back and try and snipe the enemy. In which case I don't mind it so much, because there is that urge to sit back, and them encouraging to push forward and get on with the mission is a good thing.
It's the fascists! Over to the south! Keep moving forward! Look out, enemy grenade!
I know I've said a few negative things about the campaign, but those are just things that stood out that annoyed me. Overall, I did really enjoy it. I had a lot of fun playing through the single player of this game. There was a nice range of environments, there were a lot of weapons to choose from, there was good enemy AI and also good teammate AI. Your team actually does do quite a lot to help you push through some sections. And there were interesting objectives. Even though they did get repetitive at times, they were still interesting.
Damn those fascists! They barricaded themselves on the upper floors! Shouldn't we ask them to surrender, comrade? I'll ask them when I blow them to hell! Get the explosives up here now!
Right away, Comrade Lieutenant.
So while going back to this single player campaign after playing newer, more polished single player games, it's not quite as good as I remembered. It was still a lot of fun, and I would definitely still recommend it. So if you've got the game, go back to it, play it, you will enjoy it, you won't be disappointed.
Get clear of the building! Move it! Run! Let's go! Let's go! Пошли, ребята, пошли! That's how you negotiate with fascist comrades!
Now, onto the multiplayer. This is part of the game that I played loads of when I was younger, and going back to it, I've got to say, I had pretty low expectations. I really didn't think it was going to be that good now. Thankfully, I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it when I got playing again. It was just such a simple game, wasn't it? There was no perks, no kill streaks. It was just simple, you against the other players online, and really, really good fun. I've got to say, more people were playing this game online than I'd expected, especially at the right times of day. Now don't get me wrong, there's not loads of people playing, but you usually can find a server with 20 or 30 people if you're playing in the evening. That was my experience playing from the UK. I was able to get on some decent European servers. I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but I imagine it's pretty similar. Now the downside is that a lot of these servers are modded. I imagine it's because these games have been around for so long. The people that are still playing are a bit bored with the vanilla version, so decide to add their own twist to it. And unfortunately, a lot of the mods, in my opinion, make the game worse. There are some mods, for example, reducing the amount of grenades available, which I don't mind. But unfortunately, a lot of servers don't play the vanilla maps anymore. They've got their own created maps, which I don't really care about playing. There are thankfully still some servers out there which play the vanilla maps, and they do have some mods like selecting any weapon you want no matter what nation you are, but nothing that changes the game too much, so those servers are still a lot of fun to play on. So if you fire up the multiplayer again, you will have to download some mods at the very least. Even if you want to play on the vanilla maps, there will be smaller mods you've still got to download. It is relatively simple to get rid of those mods once you've downloaded them, if you decide you don't want them on your computer anymore. So in my experience of playing multiplayer, it can be a bit tricky to find servers that have the vanilla maps and that play more than just one map. A lot of servers will just have the one map repeating itself over and over again, which wasn't really what I was looking for. But once you find a good server that you really enjoy, that plays the maps you like, you get a lot of great game time out of this game even now. The multiplayer is excellent. I really had a lot of fun playing it. So final thoughts are, the single player was, it was pretty enjoyable. It was good, had a good time running through it, but I don't think I'd pick this game up again just for the single player. If it was on sale on Steam for around £10 and you wanted to play the single player and the multiplayer, then I'd definitely say this game's worth it. There's still a lot of great communities online, a lot of great servers, and there's a huge amount of fun to be had playing this game again. That's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll try and get a few more of these videos out. Please let me know what you think below, whether you like these kind of videos, and if you do like it, give it a like. If you don't, a dislike. And if you like what this channel's doing, please subscribe. Cheers guys, see you in the next one.